Hey, I want to read you guys something. This is coming from 1 Samuel 15. I was going to start at 23, but I'm gonna start at 10 down to about 23 or 24. So this is Samuel rebukes Saul. So it says, "Then the word of the Lord came to Samuel, saying, I regret that I made Saul king, for he has turned away from following me and has not carried out my commands." Samuel was angry over Saul's failure, and he cried out to the Lord all night. When Samuel got up early in the morning to meet Saul, he was told, Saul came to Carmel, and behold, he set up for himself a monument commemorating his victory. Then he turned and went down to Gilgal. So Samuel came to Saul, and Saul said to him, "Blessed are you of the Lord. I have carried out the commands of the Lord." But Samuel said, "What then is this bleating of sheep in my ears and the lowing of the oxen which I hear?" Saul said, "They have brought them from the Amalekites, for the people spared the best of the sheep and oxen to sacrifice to the Lord your God. But the rest we have destroyed completely." Then Samuel said to Saul, "Stop, and let me tell you what the Lord said to me last night." Saul said to him, "Speak." Samuel said, "Is it not true that even though you were small, insignificant in your own eyes, you were made the head of the tribes of Israel? And the Lord anointed you king over Israel. And the Lord sent you on a mission and said, go totally destroy the sinners, the Amalekites, and fight against them until they are eliminated. Why did you not obey the voice of the Lord, but instead swoop down on the plunder with shouts of victory, and did evil in the sight of the Lord?" Saul said to Samuel, "I have obeyed the voice of the Lord and have gone on the mission on which the Lord sent me, and have brought back Agag, the king of the Amalekite, or of the king of Amalek, and have completely destroyed the Amalekites. But the people took some spoil, sheep, oxen, the best of the things that were to be totally destroyed, to sacrifice to the Lord your God at Gilgal." Samuel said, Has the Lord as great a delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obedience to the voice of the Lord? Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed is better than the fat of rams. For rebellion is as serious as sin, or is as serious as the sin of divination, fortune telling, and disobedience is as serious as false religion and idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of the Lord, he has also rejected you as king. I don't want to read all of that, but it needs to be said. A lot of us are at points, and I always include myself and ourselves in this. A lot of us are at points in our walk, in our journey, in this moment where we're irritated about how things are going. We're confused in these ways, and this confusion brings on a spirit of rebelliousness. How many of you know what it feels like to be rebellious? Remember when an authority told you to do something, but because you decided it was unfair or life is not going how you wanted it, you entered into this spirit of rebellion, and you did something different, or you altered what you were told to do because of your emotions. And the result was what it was. Maybe you got in trouble. Maybe you got on punishment. Maybe you got whooped. Maybe you got fired. I don't know. But the result is the result all the time with rebelliousness, with the spirit of rebellion. And it says, some translations say, rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. So we have to catch what God has given us, because we're at critical moments, we're at critical junctures, we're at critical times in this moment in our life. We're waiting on promised land things, but we're waiting on these things. We're waiting on life to shift. And again, it could seem like there's revolving doors. We just did a video and we said some of this, but I had to come back on here because it's very important that you do not fall into the trap, into the sway of rebelliousness, because that's very serious statements that God is saying. It says the sin of witchcraft or fortune telling. It's idolatry. And what happens when we find ourselves in these spaces? Then the door is opened for things to happen to us negatively. Even emotional outbursts. These things happen because we are allowing ourselves to be trapped in a miscommunication, in a rebellious spirit. I mean, Saul was like, man, I just took the best of the cattle, because our tradition, our religious tradition said, you take the best and you offer it to God. Now, we would have thought that would be righteous, but nothing can be righteous when it goes against the word of the Lord, the specific word of God. Even a cultural thing. When I mean cultural, I mean, again, in the Jewish traditions in the Old Testament, these were the things that God told them to do. But yet God gave him a different word, and he decides that he's going to do something different. And in his mind, he was thinking he was right. Now, was he in a sin of or a space of rebelliousness? It doesn't sound like he was, but because he disobeyed, that made him, in God's sight, operate in witchcraft and idolatry. And the result was, I'm going to have to snatch your crown. So we have to pay attention. We have to just walk with God. Wherever God is telling you to walk, just walk with God. Do what God says. I mean, if he would have just killed everything, he would have been king still. If you would do what God tells you to do, just walk with God. There's no other direction. God didn't say kill them and then spare them. There's nothing that needed to be altered. You just have to do what you were told to do. Stay the course. Even if some part of the course is confusing, you still have a clear pathway to walk with God on. So I hope it made sense, y'all. Again, this is very serious. It's not a bad word. Nothing is a bad word. It's just a mind shift. You have to shift. You have to shift. If you're not with God, if you're not going and operating from that space, you have to shift. That's all I got. Pastor Jamal, Rising Ground Church, y'all. Hard, but it's fair. I talk to you. Peace.